So how about this new Mech Fans Toys scale? It's so weird, isn't it? First off, they come out of nowhere knocking off Iron Factory and DX9 figures, but they're slightly too big and they don't really fit in the right scale. Then apparently Hot Soldiers is affiliated to them. It's awfully confusing. Then you get Mr. Moon involved and oh, it's a whole nother thing. The problem with Hot Soldiers is that they have been very hit or miss. Their first release was rather fun, but it lacked some key articulation. Their second release, which we'll be discussing today, was quite solid. I think it's one of their best releases. But there's still some hollowness issues. Their third release was complete trash. Their fourth release was a bit of a mixed bag. But their fifth release coming out soon might be set to be the best Legends Prime ever. Until Magic Square comes along. I mean, what do we have to compare to? That garbage Generation Toy one? But getting back on track here, I bought Ironhide for both myself and as a Kris Kringle present for someone in the TCCA. And I had a lot of fun with him. But he is rather flawed in the grand scheme of things. He does pull out in the end, but he is still pretty flawed. So this figure's an oddball, right? He's supposed to fit into the Mech Fans Toy scale, but because of the large nature of the character, he actually ends up fitting into the regular Legend scale on his own. And as far as, alt modes go, it's decent. You've got some lovely purple paint on the windows. It's a very light lavender purple. You've got lovely paint up here. And, for once, it's just a regular truck. Hasbro simply refuses to put out an Ironhide in this van thing. I say truck, but I meant van. They seem to think, oh, he needs to be a dump truck. He needs to be this. He needs to be that. Why can't he just be a van? Some people end up getting disappointed in the Masterpiece version as well because it's a bit flawed in their minds. What, butt wheels and hip skirts? Is that really that big of a deal? Okay, whatever you say. The only problem I really have with this figure is this. Why haven't they painted the back windows? It's ridiculous. They just kind of stop here as well. I mean, yeah, you can kind of fluff that that's a sort of sliding door that's only slided half out. Fine, I guess, but come on, man. Just this. This is pathetic. This is a third-party toy. This isn't a Hasbro toy. And especially when you've got that molded detail in there, you need to deliver on it. If you weren't going to paint it, then mold something else. Come on, man. I get that it maybe facilitates the robot mode because it looks better, because it's all, red. But come on, that's not cool. Also, this can be a little messy because of the joints. I don't mind it that much because of the transformation it goes through. But yeah, this is a little bit messy overall. One thing I will give it credit for, though, the weapons store incredibly well on the bottom there. That's some pretty genius use of parts there. He comes with a lot of weapons, but I'm not going to go through all of them because they kind of just form a sled with the top part, like the G1 toy did. It's not that great, and I don't really think it's that useful, and I don't want to go through all of it. He also comes with the Menajon stuff, and all sorts of weird things, but come on, I just want to focus on the Legends figure himself. I don't want to go through all of the accessories. This isn't a full review. This is a review, but it's not as crazy as my other ones. Transformation's okay, but it starts off with a sin. Oh, what the hell? Why does it parts form? I get the G1 toy did that, but they couldn't have fit it in better. I don't know. At least this part becomes a shield. Yes, this part is supposed to just be the gun that was on the sled on the original, but it's 5mm on one of the sides. I think it's 5mm on that side, meaning that you can slot it into the hands like a huge riot shield. Very nice touch, but it would have been better if they hadn't parts formed to begin with. But enough of that. The arms fold out to the side. They unpeg from here. For some reason, these are 5mm pegs as well. Not sure why they needed to be, because they don't peg into the hands. Bizarre. The arms fold down, like so, up and around. Rotate at the ball joint. These panels fold to the back, like so. You can then fold in the wheels, like so. Fold this down. This entire part folds around with that part clicking in. You flip up the head and lock it in a place, and then that part can fold up. These leg parts fold up like that, and then you push them in to click in. Up, push them in. Then you bring up the feet just by sliding your finger along it. And you can stand them at this point. And then that works like so. And at this point, you don't have to take the guns off, actually. You can just leave them there, and they don't stay on super solidly. But I'll leave them to the side for now, just because I can. And of course, as I said earlier, you can use this as a riot shield. And that doesn't look half bad, actually. That looks kind of cool. In fact, this figure does look kinda cool. He's missing quite a few paint details, especially on the legs, but for a budget third-party piece, I kinda like it. That's interesting about Hot Soldiers and Mech Fans toys. They're going for the budget demographic. Not everyone can afford the expensive Iron Factory or Magic Square Toys figures, so this is supposed to be for them. Why they make it bigger, I don't know. It's kind of ridiculous. Of course you can get the gun in there, and that's pretty cool. He comes with another bunch of weapons and bunch of accessories from the G1 cartoon, but I don't really think they're that important. He does scale with regular Legends figures quite decently, just by virtue of his bulky design. He's not fully into the Mech Fans Toys size. That's what Hot Soldiers is kind of weird with, because they're apparently affiliated with Mech Fans Toys, but they're doing their own thing, but it's kind of weird, and that new Optimus Prime might be just regular Legends size. It's very complicated. Articulation is quite simple. You got a ball joint here. These parts move back to get some extra movement. Ball jointed shoulders, ball jointed elbows, ball jointed hips, thigh swivel. Due to the transformation, you do get a double joint here. Also, if you move this down at the back here and also unpeg the waist there, you can sort of get a waist swivel. Doesn't look too bad. It kind of looks okay. But if you go too far, it ends up looking unnatural. I usually just ignore it. It's not a true waist swivel, which is a bit of a disappointment, but it's okay. And of course, a size comparison, as you do. The real size comparison that I always do. Now, Ironhide is a very strong figure, and in a world where there have been many deeply disappointing Ironhides, in fact even the Masterpiece disappoints people to a certain extent, he is a shining light. However, a character should not justify a mediocre toy. Fortunately, this toy isn't mediocre. He is quite solid. But there are a lot of issues you have to get over. Mainly the parts forming, which I don't hate that much, and several of the hollow parts. I mean, this plastic, it does not feel as solid as it should. Also, there are several paint issues, and yes, I could easily paint it myself, and there are repro labels for it, but that shouldn't be necessary. A third-party figure with a higher budget should be able to paint the back windows at least, but this is going for a budget. This is going for the lower end, for the people who can't afford the more expensive Legends figures. And I get that, it's an interesting demographic. But, you know, it's just, that's a bit shameless. Regardless, it's still a fun figure, and would I recommend him? Yes, I would. If you're strapped for cash, he's a decent figure, and he's okay, and you don't have to get the DX9 version, you can get this instead. And I suppose that leads into tomorrow's view, where we go to the Headmasters! With Hardhead, from Unique Toys. Yes, Unique Toys makes Legends, didn't you know that?